Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Welcome, Primetime local news viewers who are probably curled up nice and tight inside after an interesting afternoon. I'm Josh Ryan, she's Abby St. John. And Abby, earlier this afternoon, we were kind of wondering if we were going to end up in Oz with the tornado warnings we were getting.
Yeah, I was kind of in nightmare mode because tornadoes are kind of my worst nightmare. That's the part that I always skip when I'm watching The Wizard of Oz. I really hope that doesn't come anywhere near us.
That's such an iconic opening you're skipping over.
Yeah, but I would get nightmares every single time I watch The Wizard of Oz.
I mean, fair enough. I don't want nightmares either. Speaking of nightmares, irrational fear is what we're going for with Question of the Day. For now, though, let's head out to Eric Bay, who is on location.
Thanks, guys. Well, today we are here at the Health Foundation, and we're going to be talking about this new mental health navigation tool that will be coming out here shortly in just over a month. And they are currently reviewing it right now, and it should be fairly interesting. It's something that's kind of the first of its kind and will be tested out here in Lloydminster very soon. As we mentioned, they are currently reviewing it. So we're going to have all the details on that tool, when it is coming out, and what to expect from it coming up. But before that, we're going to head back into the studio where Abby has a look at your local news.
Thanks, Eric. Well, the two topics that dominated the elected officials' luncheon this week were energy and rural crime. While there are multiple factors in dealing with both issues, as Josh Ryan explains, finding a solution sooner rather than later is a significant impact in this region.
The challenges facing the oil and gas industry remain a major talking point for local politicians at each level of government.
We have a Canadian resource that creates jobs, pays taxes, environmentally safe. Let's go forward.
However, rural crime continuing to rise has constituents equally concerned.
When I meet with farmers, at coffee shops in places like Marwayne or Kitscotty, people were very concerned about the escalating epidemic of rural crime.
Advocacy is the prime strategy for now with energy.
Getting a little more aggressive on fighting back against our opponents that are hurting our oil industry.
Ensure the future of oil and gas in both Saskatchewan and Alberta.
With rural crime, there are several factors being considered.
It is a multi-pronged issue that involves, frankly, all three levels of government.
Since the crime rate took off in 2015, there have been efforts in Saskatchewan to increase law enforcement's presence in rural areas.
Putting more officers and more people out there to address rural crime. We've had the TERT team come up, the Special Units team come up a number of times into north of Lloydminster in the Onion Lake area.
A potential next step is to closely examine, then improve current structures.
An analysis of frontline law enforcement and support staff and law enforcement resources in rural communities and supports in the courts and in prosecutions.
Through justice on the court systems in our province as well, and how we can work with those people who are in the court system and in the RCMP or policing services in order to ensure that we are serving justice to the people.
Heading into the election cycle this fall, don't expect either discussion to slow down.
We have tankers on every coastline in Canada. We have Nunavut receiving oil and gas basically diesel fuel somewhere in the world. It's not even Canadian, I understand, from my visit in Nunavut last year. So I think there's some areas of discussion that we need to have.
Josh Ryan, Primetime Local News.
With the drier and warmer summer weather comes more people exploring the backcountry. Alberta Health Services is reminding people to make all-terrain vehicle safety a priority this week and for the rest of summer. AHS is encouraging riders to practice safe driving habits when hopping on the ATV this summer. The hope is to reduce the risk of unforeseen cautions on the trails.
You're right. Know the terrain, know where you're going, know what the hazards are. And one thing I always tell even drivers, push your eyes forward. Look ahead, plan ahead. If you see a big ditch coming, try to make efforts to avoid hitting it.
78 children under the age of 16 were seen in Alberta's pediatric departments due to ATV-related injuries from April 2018 to April 2019. 31 required hospital admissions and 1 passed away. Making a plan with someone before you head out is suggested.
You never know if you have an accident. It's always nice to file a game plan with a family member or someone else. Let them know, hey, I'm going out riding. This is the trails I'm taking. I should be back at this time. So if you're not back at this time, And we have a place to start looking for you.
AHS also emphasizes that riders wear the proper gear, driving sober, and getting the right operation training. Free food always tastes better, and the meal at Living Faith's second annual barbecue was delicious. Every Wednesday from now until the end of summer, Living Faith will be hosting a free barbecue where anyone is welcome to come and eat some burgers while enjoying some family fun outdoors.
We know what kids like, families like, and we wanted to design some things that the communities that are around this church building have a real opportunity to get some free entertainment, some really good food, and just enjoy beautiful Wednesday nights.
Living Faith is focusing on helping others by connecting with the community.
Well, we know that there's a variety of people that live in Lloydminster, and not everybody can do everything because they just don't have the means. And we wanted people to be able to not only have food in their belly, literally. We have people that come here just to eat. We get to build relationships with people in our community, which makes everything we do just awesome.
I'm a low-income family, so it's something that we could benefit from a great deal. We're just ready to have some fun today.
You can come out every Wednesday from now until August 28th. With clients from far and wide, Lloydminster Hyundai gives car buyers the opportunity to purchase a vehicle without ever having to step foot on the lot. Eric Bay has more in this week's BioClean Business Bio.
While providing vehicles for Lloydminster residents, Lloydminster Hyundai also makes buying a car easier for people from smaller locales as well, delivering cars right to customers' doors.
So we do lots of deals just over the phone. We can send, the beauty of technology, you can see exactly what you're buying without ever touching it until it shows up at your doorstep. So we'll deliver it right to your door. It doesn't cost you anything, we pay for it. So that's how we generally reach the smaller areas or areas outside of ours.
This service has allowed Hyundai to expand their market further than the city limits, making the car buying experience easier.
People generally find us. We have people that, not just from Lloyd, but people that come just for the Hyundai brand in places like Wainwright and Cold Lake that don't have a Hyundai store. So we see a wide array, I guess, of people that drive Hyundais now.
Lloydminster Hyundai also provides services on vehicles at their store, continuing to care for clients' vehicles even after purchase.
With the purchase of any new vehicle, you get free lifetime oil changes with us as well, and it can be used at any one of our 16 stores, not just in Lloyd. So anywhere in Western Canada, essentially, we have a store, and our service department's huge. We have our drive-through now. It's very easy to come and service a vehicle with us.
More on Lloydminster Hyundai can be found at their website. And that's this week's BioClean Business Bio.
Business Bio, brought to you by BioClean. Call the Bio Team, 1-833-246-8326. The Disaster Specialists.
Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here, and today we are talking about the new mental health navigation tool, which will be coming out here shortly in Lloydminster, and I'm joined now by Glennis Reeves-Gibbs. So first off, can you tell us a little bit about this tool and what it's used for?
So the mental health navigation tool will be a tool that anyone can use. We're going to have it in two formats. We're going to have a hard copy, but we're also going to have it online. It'll be a way to go in and take a look at what services we have in Lloydminster when we take a look at mental health services. But as well, it's going to give people ideas around some of the language that we use, so we are speaking more of a common language. And also it'll give us all ideas of what we can do on a day-to-day basis to maintain our mental wellness.
And now, where did the idea come from? Because I know you had mentioned here, we talked off camera, this is kind of the first that anybody's not kind of known of this. So where did the idea come from to do this?
So after the Lloyd Needs Assessment, which was a social needs assessment, a group of agencies came together through coordination through the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation to talk about what we needed to do to be able to work together. And one of the things that we had learned through the whole needs assessment is that there's lots of services out there, but we're not always sure what services do what. And so the whole idea of the navigation tool came out of that as a way to make sure that people have the knowledge and have a resource that they can go to.
And now we did mention too that it will be a book and an online format. So will there be any difference between the two, or will it be pretty much the same stuff?
It'll be pretty much the same when we start, but as we know, the online format will be able to update quicker than we would the paper copy, but yet we know for some people they would prefer to have the hard copy, so that's why we're going to offer both of those.
All right, thank you so much for this. We are going to have some more back from here once again talking about the new mental health navigation tool that will be coming out here very shortly, but before that we are going to head back into the studio.
We thought we had actually missed the worst of the storm, but things are starting to cool down as rain continues to come back. We were at 15 degrees about 15 minutes ago. It's now 13 degrees. We have rainfall outside, full cloud cover everywhere, and there still is a mild warning in effect for thunderstorms. We had a severe warning in effect through most of the day. That was dropped, but there's still some small alerts going out there. Some areas could have potential funnel cloud development. So keep an eye on your alerts regardless as we go on through the day. Again, relatively cloudy skies throughout the day. Maybe get some clearing up around 10 p.m. or so. Now your records 31 and 6, that was 2009 and 1993. Wind was also a little stronger earlier this evening, calming down to about 10 kilometers per hour. Those gusts may pick up again over the next hours. You can see here, severe thunderstorm warning is starting to drop on the Alberta side of things, though some of these areas are still covered. They're being dropped as we speak. Tornado watch, on the other hand, is throughout western Saskatchewan, certainly just east of Lloydminster. So if you are outdoors or having to drive, keep an eye on that before you make the decision to leave. Lloydminster, again, 13 degrees, but 17 in Cold Lake and in Meadow Lake. North Battleford at 13 and also receiving a little bit of moisture there. 20 in Isle Cross, 15 in Provost, as well as in Murnum and Edmonton, and then Saskatoon, as you can see, still staying strong at 22 degrees. Now, 18 and 12 is the expected forecast for tomorrow, with a strong chance of that rain continuing despite some clearing up overnight. 75% chance at the moment. Again, not expecting a lot of sunlight to come through. Then 23 and 11 on Saturday, so a big bump in temperature there, despite a strong chance of showers still coming through. Then on Sunday, we have a couple of days that are forecasted to be nice and warm, as well as sunny, 25 and a low of 12, as the wind shifts from the northwest to the southeast. That's your 3-day. We'll have your 7-day later on in this hour.
Welcome back. Well, futurity events give young bulls the chance to work on their moves before climbing the ranks to the PBR. Eric Bay has more on the importance of this training on the development of bucking bulls in this week's Ag Report.
Never seen his dad used to, but he's the bull rider. Come on! Yeah!
Reaching the top of any profession requires a lot of work, and for bucking bulls, it's no exception. Using a 15-pound dummy strapped to their backs, 2-year-old bulls are able to hone their skills at futurity competitions before a rider ever gets on them.
It's a metal box, straps on with a soft strap around right where the rider would be sitting, and it's on a remote, so you can click it off at the timer, and it pulls the flank off too, so everything gets released off the bull, so doing minimal stress to the animal.
Contractors and judges are looking for the quickest bulls that are able to perform the best during their 4 seconds.
What we're looking for is bulls that basically jump the highest, kick the hardest, spin, speed. You know, if they're a little quicker than the rest and they have a little more intensity, those are some of the things we're looking for sure.
Last week's Canadian Heritage Classic broke the record for the most money paid to stock contractors in a single day in Canada, which helps contractors continue to produce the rankest bulls, creating a better athlete when the PBR comes calling.
It's a huge opportunity for guys like us. It's the biggest event Canada's ever had. Lots of money up, and this gives us an incentive to get them young bulls bucked.
The futurity gives the bulls plenty of reps, allowing cowboys to face off against the best of the best for years to come.
It's good for the sport. It's good to showcase these young bulls, and it gives the bulls a lot more experience too in this setting.
Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
This Ag Report is brought to you by the Lloydminster Co-op Agro Center. Depend on them for product, tools, and expert advice. Shop at your local Lloyd Co-op Agro Center with branch locations in Lashburn and Neilburg.
And now we're going to take a look at your ag prices for today.
We're a part of less than 5% of Canadian auto body shops and Lloydminster's only locations with certified collision care recognition at City Centre Auto Body.
Yesterday, our Josh Park gave us a look at a disc golf tournament that took place out in Maidstone last weekend. The first of its kind for the small community saw around 15 participants, including Lloydminster product Clayton Hines, the tournament's eventual winner. Today, we take a look at how Hines kickstarted his disc golf career and what made him buy in so quick.
Yeah, it was like the addiction was immediate.
Clayton Hines is part of a small but growing community of disc golfers in the Midwest region. A passion for a unique sport that he developed in an interesting way.
So yeah, we had a few guys that came, moved to Lloyd, and they had played disc. They were in a band and they played disc golf like on the road when they were in the band all the time. And they got 3 holes installed at Bud Miller, and yeah, so from there it was just, you know, got introduced, got a couple discs, and was hooked like immediately.
Not a hobby you see every day, disc golf comes with its own unique set of difficulties that go much further than just putting the disc in the basket.
The mental game is the most challenging part of it for myself anyways, is just, you know, if you make a bad shot, you know, just staying calm and not freaking out.
One of the major draws of disc golf for Hines and many others is the easy, simple, and laid-back environment of the sport.
Being able to go out and do it whenever you want, and like not having to pay green fees and not having to book a tee time, you can just go out and enjoy a nice day outside.
As part of the Maidstone tournament that took place over the weekend, Hines actually finished first. A growing craft for him and potentially a trailblazer for the sport. Hines firsthand has seen the growth of disc golf during his time playing.
Yeah, disc golf is definitely growing. You know, like from the time that I started playing like tournaments in Alberta and stuff like that, you know, they get like 40 people at a tournament, and now they're at like 140. Like they're getting 140 people coming out to tournaments and stuff like that.
Josh Park, Primetime Local Sports.
Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here talking about the new mental health navigation tool that will be coming out here very shortly. And I'm joined once again by Glennis Reeves-Gibbs. And we talked a little bit about the tool itself, but it's also right now going through a review process before it is fully unfolded. So can you talk about that process?
Laura Lee Marin has been really the person behind the tool and has spent many hours working on this. And so we did a soft launch a few weeks ago and invited agencies to attend that. And we have a number of people from those agencies and community members reviewing the tool to ensure that it's very usable and that it's going to do the things that we want it to do. We are going to actually launch the tool on September 10th. We're hoping to actually do sort of a mental wellness awareness day, and we are planning on doing a number of different activities that day, but the big one is going to be the launch of the navigation tool. And then following that, we are actually going to be providing training for agencies that might be using the tool, and even if there were people that were interested in learning more about it, they'll be able to attend a training session so they know how the tool works and when you should be using it and how to use it. So that's sort of the next steps for us.
And now you did mention that launch that will be coming here September 10th. So if people do want to come out, check that out and learn a little bit more, how can people do so?
Well, we'll be doing some marketing around that, but we are actually going to hold the launch at the Prairie North Health Center over in sort of one of the areas, and so there'll be signage and that type of thing. And so we hope people will come in and out throughout the day. We hope they'll come to the launch at 10 o'clock in the morning. We're going to have some displays. We're going to have some activities, gather information. We're hoping to have some type of challenges around what are you doing that day for your mental wellness. And so we're really excited to be able to do that.
All right, thank you so much once again for doing this. We are going to have some more back from here once again talking about the mental health navigation tool that is coming out here September 10th, as we mentioned. But before that, we are going to head back into the studio.
Thanks again, eBay. As you can see, watches and warnings continuing to diminish, so only a small area near the border underneath a thunderstorm warning right now, despite a fair amount of precipitation coming down in the past 30 minutes or so. A tornado watch is still in effect in western Saskatchewan. We're not predicting it coming through in Alberta at the moment, but keep those alerts ready over the course of the next few hours. Now, as we have a little bit of technical difficulties, there we go. Our satellite and radar is showing, again, that cloud cover making its way through. You can see the circular motion over this graphic here, and that shows where that risk of thunderstorm was on, or tornado rather, was on the Alberta side of things. And again, plenty of cloud cover in the Lloydminster Maidstone area. Considering this much development, we're lucky we didn't get more millimeters of rain. Current temperatures, Vermilion at 16 degrees, we're down to 13 as mentioned earlier, 15 in Marwayne, 16 in both Bonnyville and in St. Paul, Vegreville and Edmonton at 15 degrees, a little bit warmer on the Sask side, which isn't that uncommon, 16 in St. Walburg, 19 in Meadow Lake, and then 17 in Green Lake. North Battleford, one of the few, a little cooler at 13 degrees, and Provost and Macklin, which are often some of the cooler, or the warmer rather, towns on the map, they are sitting at 13 and 11 respectively. And temperatures could continue to drop a little bit in the next hour if that storm picks up. Now, current temperatures in North Battleford, 13 with wind coming out of the west at a strong 28 kilometers per hour. They're also still getting some rain, though it's slowed down. Should continue to slow down overnight, but they could get a little spattering of rain throughout with a low of 11. The wind, fortunately, calming down to 19 kilometers, then 13 tomorrow, 17 degrees for the high. Still a chance of some moisture at various points of the day. In Cold Lake, 16 degrees with wind out of the west. That will shift to the northeast over the next 4 or 5 hours, a low of 12 with some precipitation coming, then 21 for the high tomorrow, and that precipitation should remain somewhat steady, though certainly not the amount of millimeters that we probably had received this evening. 13 degrees in Lloydminster, only dropping down 1 more degree tonight is the plan at the moment. South-southwest winds will shift to the northwest and then to the northeast by tomorrow. And again, heavy cloud cover. The rain could actually pick up after things clear up in the next couple of hours. They'll get a little cloudier around 3 or 4 a.m. That will then continue on into tomorrow, where there's a strong chance of rain and possible thunder showers to look forward to for those of you who do like being outside in the rain, though there's not that many of you. 23 and 11 on Saturday, where there's another chance of a thunderstorm, though some sunny periods as well. 25 and 12 on Sunday, with the wind shifting to the south-southeast, and then 27 and 12 on Monday. So a warm couple of days expected next week after all this moisture. 29 on Tuesday, 28 Wednesday, and 22 on Thursday.
Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here where today we have been talking about the new mental health navigation tool that is coming out shortly, and Glennis Reeves-Gibbs joins me once again. And now we've been talking about this tool, but it is part of the mental health animator, which is going on here in Lloydminster, so can you talk about that project?
Sure. So as I mentioned before, after the needs assessment, the foundation led a group to come together to talk more about how we move forward. And one of the things that they did is they applied to become what we call a mental health animator community through the Canadian Mental Health Association in Alberta. We are one of the first 12 communities, and so really what this project is about is having community conversations about what is mental health, what is mental wellness, how do we maintain that, and getting people involved in that. So we have 4 working groups: prevention or promotion, which is where the navigator tool fits, care and advocacy, as well as a crisis group. And so that's how this fits within it. And so there's lots of different activities going on, and we're having lots of different community conversations around it.
And you mentioned those community conversations. How important, is it to have those conversations surrounding mental health?
Very important. We know that there has been lots of stigma at times around mental health, and we're wanting people to understand that we need to talk a common language, and we need to acknowledge it, and we all need to do things on a day-to-day basis to maintain our mental wellness, and that's really what the Animator Project is about. And on the 10th, when we do the launch, there's going to be an opportunity for people to give us input, and we're always open to volunteers if someone wants to come and work with one of our working groups.
And now, very quickly, if somebody does want to come out and volunteer, or if people just want to keep that conversation going and learn a little more, how can they do so?
I would say that the best thing to do is to contact either myself or one of our leads, or if they contacted the foundation office would be able to send them in the right direction, and we would be more than happy to see where they'd like to do some work and become one of our volunteers.
All right, thank you once again for doing this. We are going to have some more back from here, once again, talking about the new mental health navigation tool and how you can help out and join the conversation. But before that, we're going to head back into the studio.
Well, our question of the day struck a chord with many of our viewers, and for Don Frankenberger and Diane Sontag, they both have an irrational fear of thunderstorms. Today was probably not a great day for them.
Yeah, this summer probably hasn't
general,
been
yeah.
the most fun, and probably very stressful, so that really really sucks.
I hope for their sake that they were able to perhaps go on a distant vacation and
or
at least
be able
avoid
to
this region.
distract themselves at least from it as well.
That'd be like a lot of Netflix or something though, to distract from that.
On full blast so you can't hear the thunder.
I mean, that's pretty difficult some days. Another irrational one that came out was moths, which are kind of gross, but that is definitely an irrational fear.
Oh, definitely, No, it's definitely, I've never really heard of someone afraid of moths, but I mean, it makes sense because they are kind of creepy, but they're more gross than anything else.
I guess it branches off from other bugs
Yeah.
as well. Something that I hope people aren't irrationally afraid of are some of the dogs and cats featured in our Pet of the Day segment. So you got to be pretty hard to be a scared of Luna.
Very, very adorable little cat. I love it.
Next up here we have Moxie, who's I guess in the process of moving a rope around in the water.
Very cute. I love seeing dogs in water. Very, very cute.
Yeah, they're always good swimmers. Rex, another black cat. A lot of black cats.
I love the position, probably just rolling around in the grass, having a good time.
As they love to do. Next up here, Whisper, who's prepared for some water excursions as well.
And wearing a bucket hat. Love it. Very cute.
That's on my bucket list to have a bucket hat. Viceroy is the last edition.
Aw, just an adorable kitten. Also probably rolling around in the grass. Very cute.
And of course, remember folks, submit your picture and the name. You can win a free gift card from PetPad.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the PetPad.
Today I'm joined here with Heather Reed. She is a dietitian for Revive Wellness, and today we're going to be talking about ways kids can, remain healthy during the summer but still be able to enjoy all summer treats and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
So something that happens every summer, no longer school, kids are out playing, riding their bikes, and treats, the ice cream truck, 7-Eleven, getting Slurpees and stuff, that all comes into effect during the summer because it's warm.
Yeah, definitely.
So sometimes healthy eating kind of goes out the window for a lot of kids. I know I was that way when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that kids can, still be able to enjoy those things but have that healthy aspect to it as well?
Yeah. So I like that you said enjoy it. It's definitely, summer's, you need to have some fun, but it's having that fun in moderation. And it's enjoying some different things. So one of the fun things that I like to do with my kids is watermelon pizza. So it's not just having fruit, because fruit, but making it a bit more fun.
Yeah.
So what we do is we cut up watermelon and then we put different fruit on top of it, sprinkle some coconut, and then it's doing something different. It's offering different things, those visual pieces. Another thing that we do is we make our own popsicles. So it's not just having a plain old popsicle. It's making it out of a puree of fruit, Greek yogurt, getting them involved, having them part of it. So getting them really in the kitchen, chopping them up, obviously being safe with all those utensils, but getting them right involved with it. But I love that you said biking to 7-Eleven. So it's incorporating that activity in with it. And then it's leading by example. So if you say, oh, you can have that, but then are having those extras yourself, it's those parents that are really setting that example for them. So it's incorporating that healthy living, but then having those extras and just making it a good time and having that fun with them as well.
And I know trying to take away sugar from kids is a very, very difficult thing to
Yes.
do, and it often leads into meltdowns and crying. So what are some ways that parents can balance out a child's diet during the summer between, you know, the very sugar treats and, like you said, with the healthy fruit and treats like that?
I'm a big believer in not ever saying you can never have that, because then that leads to having it on that pedestal and that's all that they're focusing on. So it's incorporating it in and saying, you know what, let's go for it. Let's having it as a family. If you would have seen us this weekend, we were out for ice cream as a family and it was so much fun. So it's having it as just a sometimes and not as an always.
And I know, like, summer is typically only about 2 months. Why is it important to still maintain that healthy eating, even though it's just for a couple of months before school starts back up?
So it's really hard if you just throw everything out the window. It's that much harder to kind of get back on track, but it's everything in moderation. So still listening to that cues of fullness and hunger. So if someone offers you that ice cream or that treat and you're truly not hungry, saying, you know, I'm okay right now, but then later on when you get hungry, then saying, you know what, I think I'll have that ice cream now. And then eating till you're just full, till you're comfortable. So not eating past that level of, oh, I ate too much, I don't feel good, because that's not comfortable for anyone. And then it's not really worth it. You're no longer enjoying that treat. So still listening to your body and just eating till you're comfortable. And that's such an important thing to be teaching our children, is listening to that body still and eating to hunger and eating to fullness.
Oh, wow. That totally makes sense, because, you know, kids, it's very hard to, you know, try to balance that, because they want the sugar, they want the candy and all that. But to have that balance is really important, and it will help them in the long run, because they can add a little bit more sugar in their diet during the summer. But as long as they have that, you know, healthy mentality along with it, I think that's also really important. Really quickly before we wrap up, if any parents have any questions regarding, you know, different ways they can help maintain their kids' healthy lives eating during the summer, how can they get a hold of you?
So you can reach me here in Lloydminster, heather@revivewellness.ca, or just find me on Facebook or give me a call as well. I'm really accessible, appointments here in Lloydminster.
Okay, well, perfect. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your expertise.
My pleasure.
Coming up on Saturday, you'll get to see an antique or two as the Lloydminster Auto Club hosts their annual Specialty Vehicle Show. And Specialty Vehicle Show encompasses antiques, classic vehicles. It also means modified vehicles, hot rods, stock vehicles are all going to be displayed, and they're coming from all over Alberta and Saskatchewan to Lloydminster on Saturday. You've got an opportunity to check out this great show at Lions Park, and you're going to find that on Highway 16 right across from the Lloyd Mall. And all proceeds from this show are going to be donated to local organizations right here in Lloydminster. There's some great exhibits for you to check out here at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Centre, including a new one that just opened up, Space to Spoon. It's a traveling exhibit that has made its way to Lloydminster. So what does a satellite orbiting 798 kilometers from Earth have to do with the food on your plate? Find out when you check out this exhibit on right now at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Centre. There's a lot of great history associated with this building and a lot of great memories made here. Yesterday's memories, tomorrow's dreams. That is the slogan for this year's Vermilion Fair. And the fair gets underway next Thursday morning with that huge parade that goes through Vermilion. So hope we can make it out and check it out. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Klegus, and that's what's happening.
I'm now joined by MP Shannon Stubbs. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today here at the Lloyd X. What was it like to be back in Lloydminster and to meet with your constituents, which you don't always get often get an opportunity to do when you're out doing business in Ottawa?
Well, I love being in Lloydminster and anywhere in Lakeland. I'm in session about 200 days of the year, and so every time I can come home and talk about the issues and the concerns of the people that I represent, I just love catching up with familiar faces, and it always helps to remind me on what my primary job is when I do go to Ottawa, is to fight for the priority and the concerns of the people who sent me there. So I'm really thankful to the Chamber for the opportunity to be able to get together with the people who attended today, and also the other elected officials in the area who I work very cooperatively with on a regular basis.
And you've certainly had a number of issues to fight about, particularly the Trans Mountain expansion. What are your thoughts on where the process is at now and what the next couple of months will look like?
Well, I think it's a travesty that 3.5 years after the Liberals' initial approval of the Trans Mountain expansion and then their announcement of construction starting last year, that now there is still no concrete start date. It's particularly galling because the pipeline, when it was proposed by the private sector, was actually supposed to be operational in 2019. Now the government has spent 4.5 billion Canadian tax dollars promising Canadians that that would get construction started immediately, and here we are a year later, and nothing concrete has actually happened. Conservatives have been strong advocates for the completion of the Trans Mountain expansion, but also for the private sector to be able to build major crucial energy infrastructure to all coasts in Canada, to be able to diversify Canada's export markets for Canadian energy, which is world class.
And speaking of world class, one of the industries that has been a struggle recently because of bans from China, of course, is the canola ban. What does the next couple of months look like in that regard? Because that has obviously affected many people in this area in Alberta and certainly in Saskatchewan as well.
Under these Liberals, it's been clear that the same kind of ideological, anti-science, anti-evidence decision-making that they've done in energy, they've also done in agriculture, and they've made things harder for local producers and for farmers. And I think it is in particular with regard to trade relationships and diplomatic relationships. And those consequences for Canadian farmers and producers, unfortunately, have been completely self-inflicted as a result of the decisions of the Prime Minister and the Liberals. We urged the Liberals months ago to immediately appoint a new ambassador to China, which they haven't had for, I think, more than a year at this point, to immediately refer the dispute over agricultural products between China and Canada to the WTO for independent arbitration, and then also to stop any Canadian tax dollars in the multi-million-dollar Asian infrastructure bank that the Liberals have set up, which is going to build pipelines and major infrastructure in China right now, to stop that immediately. And still to this day, they haven't done any of those things. So we'll keep fighting for the farmers and producers who were impacted by those decisions, and also for the Canadian lives that are at stake in China.
And now you've announced recently, obviously, that you're going to run for re-election this fall. What is your focus heading into that re-election, and what do you think so far of Andrew Scheer's job in terms of attempting to appeal to Canadians, and what the process will look like again, as it's going to be an interesting couple of months here?
Well, Andrew has been relentless, traveling across the country to earn the trust and confidence of Canadians in every corner and community in Canada. We as Conservatives know that the consequences of the Liberals' policy and legislation over the last 4 years is to make life less affordable for Canadians and for their families and for their businesses. Andrew has been a very strong advocate, in particular, of Western energy resources and the importance of energy and of pipelines to the entire Canadian economy. I know that he'll continue to travel the country and in particular to secure the votes of communities and voters in other parts of the country where we need to win. And for me, I'll continue to travel in the communities in Lakeland and then gear up for the campaign, which I'm looking forward to in the fall.
Again, thank you very much for joining us. That was Shannon Stubbs stopping in Lloydminster to talk to constituents and looking ahead to a very busy fall election.
Once again, we are back here at the Health Foundation, where we've been talking with Glenys Reeve-Gibbs, and she is a volunteer as a mental health animator, which is one of 12 communities Lloydminster is a part of here in Canada that is taking upon themselves to do some more stuff again with mental health. And one of those things is the new mental health navigation tool that they are coming out here. September 10th is when that will be officially launched, and it is currently being tested right now. They are working out some kinks, but what that's going to do is in book form and online, which will be, again, again, helping people find more stuff around town, again, talking about mental health. And now that online one will be updated more frequently as it is online, so a little easier than the paper copy. But for those that do enjoy paper, there will be that copy available. And again, that entire thing is coming out September 10th with a whole big event coming out too, which should be a lot of fun to attend. So that's all we have from here. We'll now go back into the studio.